All right, so for time management, and looking at that video, some of the things I wrote down is, and it's a plan, but also it is your time management, and it's a big problem for a lot of people, but your execution is poor, right? Who has a calendar? And who uses a calendar daily? Okay? Who wants to show Dave and me your calendar later today, so we can see what your activities are, how your time is, and what you're doing? Because that's really important, okay? So it could be that you have, like he said, too many things planned in your day, and then you don't hit them, and so then you get frustrated, and then you don't do them again. So you have to be careful about your execution. And you want to solve for that overwhelm. I thought that was a good thing. And then you want to have your day structured, right? And, you know, my day is structured in that I get up, I read, I go to the gym, I come home, I spend some family time, and then I go and I get a cup of coffee, like I've told you guys before, with my Remax Gateway, sit in Starbucks, do emails, talk to people as they come in, and then I get to the office by 8:15, between 8 and 8:15. So my day is structured like that, and then I have meetings throughout the day, right? And everything is planned out on my Google Calendar. Things are set. That's why it's, when people are like, "You're too busy to meet me." Well, no, I'm going to put it in my calendar, and I'll meet you at 1 o'clock every Tuesday, because it's going to be in my calendar. I won't set other things around it. So you have to have that kind of structure and that kind of discipline to say no. No is extremely important, because you have to know that what your priorities are, to say, okay, do you want to go grab a beer? Do you want to go golf? Do you want to go to the lake and go out on the boat? And you have to be able to say no, because I have these other three things that are a priority that I need to do. What happens a lot with agents is they're in the middle of making their phone calls, and they get, boom, a lead from an agent, and that lead, they say, "Oh my God, I got a lead." And they call up that lead, and they run out, and they show the house, and guess what? Those people have an agent. And now they've wasted 2 hours of their time when they should have said and asked proper questions before they went out, if those people had an agent, you know, had they been qualified, whatever the case might be. So you have to learn to say no. The other thing is, and we talked about this in one of the early on classes, was breaking down your time, where you have strategic blocks, breakout blocks, and buffer blocks, right? And that's discussed a lot in that book, The 12-Week Year, where when you have a strategic block, you're doing just that activity. You're making phone calls, you're doing your videos, you're not checking emails, you're not checking your text, you're not answering your phone, you're just strategically doing those items to knock them out quickly and effectively, right? I mean, how many emails do you get a day, Dave?
Oh, tons, way too many.
200, right? So you can sit down in 10 minutes and just quickly delete the ones that aren't good, and then that'll bring you to the ones that you have to pay attention to, and the ones that are going to take more time. If I have an email that's 3 paragraphs long from an agent, what do?
Call them.
I call them. All right? I mean, I'm not going to read a 3-paragraph email when you can tell me that same thing in 2 minutes, and then I can answer the question, right? So you have to use that time strategically. The other thing is, you want to take on tactical events, right? You want to make your phone calls, write your notes, do your videos, and you want to make sure that those are lead generation ideas. And I'm going to get into that in just a little second. And so that'll give you clarity in your day and what you have to do, okay? The other thing is, again, being strategic means that you're focusing on your time and using your time wisely. And so at the end of the day, you want to write down everything you need to do the next day, and then when you wake up in the morning, review that list again and see if there's anything that you need to add. And then what you need to figure out is what you need to do daily to move the needle. And what is that?
Contact people.
Contact people. Generate leads. You are in the lead generation business. You're not in the real estate business. If you don't have leads, you can't do real estate. Okay? So you have to focus on moving the needle, and moving the needle is generating leads, which is talking to people. Okay? And again, the person that you're talking to probably isn't going to buy or sell a house, but they're going to know somebody who is. Right? It's a numbers game. So then that comes down to how many contacts you need to make a day, and Dave says it's 8 contacts a day. And we'll do the ninja training, and we'll get into that as well. Okay? So, your plan is going to be your daily plan, your weekly plan, your monthly plan, and your quarterly plan to affect the goals that are going to change your financial position right now, right? So, one of the things that you're going to have to do is to learn to proactively generate leads, create new inventory. Kevin's going to go out door to door. What's your social media strategy, right? How are you going to generate leads through social media? Creating content for your social media. And we've talked about a lot of stuff already in that. And in your book, we have blog ideas, which could also be video ideas. Okay? So, any questions on that? And I hope you guys got out of that video what I got out of that video as it relates to your time management, okay? And putting together your plan of action. And we kind of talked about that initially for those of you who are here for the lead generation. We had 31 lead generation ideas. There's no way you can do 31. You want to break it down into your sphere plus 2 or your sphere plus 3 things, master those, and then add to it. Okay, so, but again, prioritizing your time. So we're on page 38 now of your book. There's one page in there. So, everybody have the book?
Page 33.
38.
There's not an extra book up there for analysts here.
I don't know. Dave, up here, you mean? Not up here.
Yeah.
No, this is just my book. All right. So, everyone has a calendar, has a day timer, whatever they're using. Okay. How are you managing your time? What are you doing? So do you have a task list? Do you have a to-do list? How are you doing that? Do you block time on your calendar?
I do, but what's happening to me is just like you said, you get a phone call, you get a lead. Well, mine isn't. It's productive, but everything else goes to the wayside because I'm focusing on what it is that comes up unexpectedly.
Okay, so you have to start, again, it depends on what you're doing. If you get a lead from somebody, do you have to respond right away? If you're in the middle of if you say I'm going to make 5 phone calls daily, you can wait 15 or 20 minutes to respond to that lead. So you don't want to break what you're doing just to respond to something. Again, it's being focused on the activities that you're doing right then, putting your phone away and not doing email or whatever the case might be.
I just feel like if I don't get it, somebody, they'll move on to the next person because I haven't responded quick enough.
Okay, you need to talk to more people you know and not worry about the online internet leads. That's one thing. If you get a referral from Kevin, that's your next door neighbor, that person doesn't expect a call within a minute. They might say, okay, this person has nothing else to do, why do I want to work with them? If you get back to them, like within an hour, hey, I was just talking to Kevin out front, we were walking the dogs, I just got back in, he says you're thinking about selling a house, that's responsive enough, okay? And again, the online leads, about 2 to 4% of them close, so, and we call them, they're not really leads, they're more inquiries. So you want to focus your time on lead generation ideas versus responding to leads that quickly. That's going to be better for you in the end, and it's going to be more valuable to you developing relationships with people that you know and that know, like, and trust you. okay? Okay, so, how do you manage your time? It's always what's urgent and important,
And then what's?
urgent, and then what's important, and then everything else, right? So urgent, important for you guys right now is what? Generating leads. Correct. I can't say that enough. Alright? So urgent, important, and then everything else. So, as an example, going out and showing houses, that's urgent and important, right? Because you're gonna help somebody buy a house, right? So you wanna think of those type of tasks. Anytime you get face to face with somebody is gonna be urgent and important. Now, meeting with someone to go over a profile, like you talked about, if somebody wants to show a house, or be shown a house, or calls you about listing their house, what's more important?
Oh, choosing between the two?
Yes,
The listing.
the listing or the buyer. Sorry, I can't meet with you now, Joan. I'm gonna have to meet with you another time. When we reschedule, right? So you have to think of those things, and sometimes you have to put appointments off, right? But, so showings and listing appointments, closings, those are always gonna be your most urgent things. If you don't have those people, then lead generation is always gonna be the most urgent, most important thing. Alright, so you wanna think along those lines. So, how far in advance are you guys planning out your time?
It depends on what it is.
Okay,
So, for example, like I have pop buys that I'm doing for the 4th of July.
Right.
And I'm thinking about what I want to do for back to school in August.
right?
So that kind of stuff, but like weekly, I'm kind of, because the kids are at school and my husband's not here, or out of school and my husband's not here, I'm kind of taking a week at a time,
Right?
like trying to get through the week.
Okay, so these Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 o'clock, probably have out for like the next 6 weeks.
Yes, and
Right,
yeah.
so that's always in your calendar, right? If your office real estate exchange should be in your calendar. You know, the quarterly meeting should be in your calendar, you know, so there's things that you know, and those could be booked out for a while, right? And so that you're on task. And then you'll get like this training class coming up that, oh, that's like a week out. Boom, put that in if you have time to make it to that, okay? So, form changes in the contract, kind of urgent, you know, because that's going to be here in 2 weeks. You need to know what the changes are. We've gone over the contract, but now you need, there's changes to it. So you're going to need to know what those changes are, because I don't even know what they are. So I'm glad we're having that. So you know, you're going to have to, again, weigh what's urgent, important, or urgent, and then important, and then everything else, right? So the everything else is what kind of activity? Previewing 5 houses a day, right? Hey, that should be a goal, to go out and see 5 houses a day. If you see 3, that's better than none. If you see 1, that's better than none. But you got to go out and you have to see the inventory. So you have to be able to speak to people. What happens is, Chris, you run into Starbucks and you see your person, one of your kids' friends, and they're like, "Hey, how's the market?" You say, "Oh my God, well, it depends, right, on if you're buying or selling." But I tell you what, if you know anybody looking to buy a house, I saw one that is so undervalued, it's a steal. And you know, if I was in a position to do it, I would buy it myself. But if you know anybody who wants to take advantage of this great property, let me know. Because you saw it, you can tell them that you have that, right? And they'll be like, "Oh wow, you're out looking at houses?" or whatever. So that's why it's important to see houses. We have the ABCD thing, right? And then organize your meetings to reduce time and increase effectiveness. So understand the importance of saying no. And then use waiting time effectively. One thing that Andre does, and he did a training class. Were you there when it was like 2 months ago? You may have been in the process of getting a license.
I don't remember.
We had the top producer panel.
Oh.
Okay. He always has notes in his. He always has. Well, so does Brian. but they have notes in their car, but Andre has like 20 Popeye things in his trunk of his car. So if he's gonna go and he has 15 minutes in between appointments that, like an appointment finished up early, he goes to his referral maker, sees a client that's in the area, has a Popeye, and goes by and drops off a Popeye before he goes to his next meeting. And then Brian Felder has notes in his car, and as he's waiting for people to show up for appointments, he's writing notes to other people. So always use that downtime effectively. Don't go on your phone and look at social media. That may or may not be a good use of your time, depending on what you're looking for. And then always have your daily schedule up so you know what you're supposed to be doing and when. And sometimes it's okay to stop doing something even if you haven't finished it. Now, one thing is you have to know what your most productive time of day is for you, right? Some people are morning people, some people are mid-afternoon people, some people are evening people. You want to schedule your most effective activity, your most effective time with the activities that are going to get you the best results. So, I can't answer what that time is for you, but mine's usually like 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the morning, and then again like 5 to 6 in the evening. So that's when I'm doing most of my most important activities. So I can knock more of them out, whatever they are. Okay. So, we have a little quiz for you on page 39 and 40. Kind of getting you in the right mindset and giving you a score. And see how your scores are. Scoring systems are good. I haven't taken this test in a while. On 5, who has answered D? The desk is clear.
Oh, on 5? Yeah.
Liars.
Like,
Clean
once in a
desk is
blue
sign of a
moon.
sick mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
These are supposed to be honest answers, not right answers, right?
Correct. Yes.
Because I know the right answer.
See, the right answer is always D, but there's no way anybody can always answer D. Number 10 is extremely important. Moving from this stack to this stack. We have an answer to that. delegate it, file it, or trash it. Alright? Just get it over with, so you don't have stacks of paper on your desk all the time. Who is good at delegating? That was slow, Jennifer.
I got nobody to delegate
Really,
to.
I only delegate to my children because they're the only people in my life.
Right.
So I'm really good at delegating to them.
Okay, so one thing to think about is if you don't have an assistant, you are one. Okay? And if you're doing $10 an hour tasks, it's taking away from the $300 tasks of selling houses. That's what you want to do. You want to use your time effectively and efficiently, and don't do $10 an hour tasks. There's virtual assistants out there, there's high school kids out there, there's responsible tweens out there, right, to do a lot of work for you that you don't have to do, like Kevin stuffing your bags with your postcards. You shouldn't be spending your time doing that. There's probably a high school kid or even a middle school kid that can do that for you. Alright? So think about things along those lines. So, what are some scores? What was your score? We're going to pick on you first.
Pick on me, I didn't add them.
Oh, add them up. So,
Okay.
1 point for each A, 2 points for
Oh,
each B, 3 points for each C, and 4 points for each D.
What's the
I'm in the
question?
poor range.
You're in the poor range.
Yes.
Ooh.
What is
Yeah.
the question? How do you approach detail work?
How do you what?
How do you approach detail work? What's that?
I'm going to say I delegate most of that, personally.
Meaning
I
like
delegate some of it.
accounting or stuff that you really gotta focus on all the little details.
So, as an example, I have Carrie fill out my listing agreement, calls the seller, fills out the paperwork, I go back and I review it and make sure it's right. She fills out my contracts, I go back and look at it and see that it's done right. I don't sit there and check all the boxes, all the detailed stuff, right? I come up with the ideas for the quarterly meetings, who the speaker's gonna be, and then Jennifer gets the sponsor, she gets the room, so all those details Jennifer does, right? So I delegate most of the stuff, okay? When I did like the Entrepreneur Summit, I did a lot of research on that and put together the outline of it, and then I hired somebody to write it. So, I do, most of the detail work I don't do myself, because it's more of a big picture kind of thing for me. Alright, so, we need to discuss your schedule and what you're
Yes.
doing, okay? So go over your answers, so set up a time to meet with me
Okay.
to do that.
Will do.
Who else had numbers?
31.
31,
So mediocre.
wow, okay, so you're mediocre. I wonder, those are out of order, darn it.
They are.
Yeah, I just saw that. Alright, so, we're getting together anyway, so we'll go over that as well. Who else is brave enough? Jeff?
39.
39. Okay, you're mediocre.
Yeah,
Damn,
but
dude.
a lot of my, I do more, I'm wearing a lot of hats right now, so
Right.
I'm not delegating legal work to my kids to do.
Oh yeah, of course not.
So
Right,
I'm trying to apply these answers
So,
across
yeah.
my spectrum of
right.
what I'm doing.
Right,
Right.
and they're almost written like you're doing a 9 to 5 job too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just take work home. I have to always take home because that's the only place I work.
I'm
Right,
always
yeah, well,
written-
yeah, so that, that one
Yeah.
obviously doesn't
Take
apply.
it from there.
Like, but for me, I leave the office about 7:50, about 7. I'm usually home between 7 and 7:15, okay? And I'll do emails, like I'll go and I'll have dinner and hang out with the kids and my wife and all that stuff. And then at like 8:15, 8:30, I'll check emails, and then I'll go on the couch and start to read something and fall asleep about 9:15, because that's what I do. And then I'll get up at like 10 or 10:30, just check my email real quick, so I think I got back to you, it was like 10:10, something like that. So, and then I go to bed. So that's kind of how, I'm not bringing stuff home really, but I am working from home. So, I think I said twice a week on that.
Well, like, it seems like this is penalizing you for, like, I'm always on my email 24/7. That's what I have to do in order to do my job.
Okay?
That maybe not for, I don't know if real estate estate's like that, but I expect people when I send an email that they respond in the next 30 to 40 minutes unless you're sleeping. And that's the way I've been trained.
Right.
The last thing I do before I go to bed is I check my email. The first thing I do at 6 o'clock is check my email. That's just the way we were trained.
You're wired.
Mine at work.
Well, we were billing every 6 minutes. That's
Right.
what you have to do.
Right.
So I know it drives my family crazy, but I mean, I plan on using that same ethic in like real estate.
Mm-hmm.
It may not work. It may. I mean, you know, I just like my if I have more than 5 emails in my inbox, like it drives me crazy. So I constantly have to answer them and then file them according whatever. I have 35,000 folder structures set up.
Right.
That's just the way I'm wired.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I didn't do well or got a high score because of some of these.
Right. So the thing is real estate's not 9 to 5, but you have to think of real estate terms. So basically, I am 8 to 7, 5 days a week, and then on the weekends, depending on what the schedule is, it can be anywhere from 4 to 8 hours on a Saturday and Sunday. But it's so that's kind of how it's different than your 24/7. And so, and not everybody's going to respond. Not every agent is responsive, professional, and courteous. So that's a high bar to set, that people are going to get back to you within 20 to 30 minutes because it's just the nature of the other people in the business and not you. Now, you get back to somebody in 20 to 30 minutes is a great response time to have, but remember, as we said to Monica, if you're making your calls, you've budgeted an hour to make your calls, make all your calls and then respond. You don't want to keep going back and forth because then you're multitasking like that. And I tell my kids this all the time. It's just like driving and texting. If you're doing that, you're multitasking, your IQ drops lower than if you're smoking pot. All right, so you want to keep your IQ above that in most cases. All right, so keep that in mind. So
Low end of mediocre.
low end of mediocre.
30. Yeah, right on the.
We know
31, mediocre.
31. Okay.
I had 42.
42.
Right.
Wow, you're almost good.
But I had a difficulty with the questions because I was thinking about, I'm transitioning into a new career. I was thinking
Right.
about my old job and kind of answering the questions and how I used to do things, and then
Setting expectations for yourself on
Yeah.
how you're going to go forward.
so I was kind of caught in the middle between kind of how I used to do things at like
Right.
a 9 to 5 job and then what this is going to be like.
Right. We can help you with that. And your mentor, you're talking to Kevin?
Talking to Kevin, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So your mentor will help you with that kind of routines daily. He's great at his routines. Yes, ma'am. 45.
Good job.
All right. So you're good. Excellent. Joe will be very happy. Does Amy need to have a conversation with you?
A 45?
You got a 45 also?
Very good.
Wow. That's awesome. And then Kevin?
37.
37. All right, so again, schedule time to meet with me. We'll go over these things. We can talk about how you can be more effective and more efficient with your time and, again, picking things out like that. So now on to page 42. Oh, you guys already have the answers. You do. No, you don't. Kevin, you've got the answers, pal. You don't have to write them down. All right, so make a plan for each day, right? That's how you get your time organized. Write out your top 10 list for each day. Now, if you listen and go by what Brian Moran said, you know, it might be 3 things that you're going to do that day. Now, you can. I'm talking business, right? Just like he's talking business, but exercise is important. Family time, going to kids' basketball games, that's important, right? So, your top 10 lists for each day. Again, say no to non-essential tasks. That is going to free up more time than you can believe.
Can you say that again?
Take time, let's see, say no to non-essential tasks. As you guys get more experienced in the business, you are going to be inundated with phone calls and emails and meeting requests from lenders, title companies, lead generation companies looking to sell you business, and you need to say no. Can I have 15 minutes of your time? Nope, I'm really busy, sorry. If it's a new lender, sorry, I don't have time to meet with you. We've already have like 8 to 10 lenders that we work with, right? Unless somebody screws up, there's nobody who's gonna, somebody will take the place. Initially, you may want to take those meetings because you want to learn the business, you want to learn how people approach the business, you want to learn what that person does in case that person can help you, but those will become non-essential tasks in the future, okay? Next one, my favorite word, delegate. And then what's also important on that is the next one, take the time you need to do a quality job. You don't want to rush through things just to get it done. You want to make sure you're doing the right things to get the things done.
That's it. That's in delegate.
Nope, that's the next one after delegate. Take the time you need to do a quality job. Delegating is, I'm trusting Jeff is going to get this done. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to check his work 3 or 4 times, and then and again, when you delegate a result and not necessarily a task, right? I want you to fill out this contract completely. I want you to have the other agent's name, email address, phone number, DPOR number, MRS ID. I want to have a complete and total contract when I go to review this. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Great. Boom. And then you go back and check it 3 or 4 times. You're like, you know what to do now, right, Jeff? Cool. Boom. We're done. So you kind of you delegate the result, not the task. Fill out this contract. He doesn't know how to fill out the contract. So you have to explain things initially. So that's what that means. Okay, Yvonne? All right. Break large, time-consuming tasks into smaller tasks. So taking the Entrepreneur Summit as an example. Came up with the concept, then I had to research and how to make it work, right? We did the game of risk. So risk is 5 continents, right? So you go and how to conquer those continents. What are 5 pieces of your business? So I didn't go in and do that Entrepreneur Summit in one afternoon. That was over like a month period of time. Then I gave to somebody who worked on it for 2 weeks, and then we reviewed it, and then we completed it, and then we gave it to Jennifer to print. So there's no way you can do big time-consuming tasks instantaneously. So you want to break them down and make sure you give yourself enough time to do a quality job. Practice the 15-minute rule. Okay? The 15-minute rule is if you feel you're not getting things done, keep track of your time in 15-minute increments. You go on Facebook. How many times have you gone on Facebook and you're starting to look and you're going, and next thing you know, 30 minutes have gone by. 45 minutes have gone by, right? Or you've gone on LinkedIn, same thing, right? You're not staying focused and you've wasted time. So keeping track of your time in 15-minute increments if you feel that you're not being effective. And then write down all the things so you have all your daily tasks that you do, right? You write it down at the end of the day and the beginning of the day. Also go back, and it's almost like journaling. Look at how you spent your time that day, right? And if you're doing time-wasting activities like too much time on social media, too much time socializing with your friends, not spending appropriate time on your lead generation, do that. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't get the practice the 15-minute rule. I got a call when you were talking about it. I'm sorry.
You focus.
But it was
Yes.
showing time.
So you track your time. If you're not being effective, and you're not getting done what you want to do, start to track your time every 15 minutes. Set your phone, and when the alarm goes off in 15 minutes, say, what did I just do in that 15-minute time frame to keep yourself on track to do things. Limit distractions, right? So Kevin lives on a golf course. Don't go out on your back deck and try and make phone calls, because you'll see guys that you know on the golf course and they'll yell at you, right? Or you'll look and see where that shot went, or so it
My
distracts you.
office is on the front side of the house.
See, that's good. So you're limiting your distraction that way.
And half the time I leave those blinds closed.
Yeah. So stay focused, right? So that's limiting distractions is good. Get plenty of sleep, eat a healthy diet, and exercise, right? To give yourself the energy to get through the day. Take your vitamins, take your supplements, whatever you need to do. And then most importantly, if you are going crazy, it's okay to take a break. Don't overwhelm yourself, right? You want to be effective and efficient. So it's okay to take breaks when you feel that you need it. All right, any questions on that? No? Oh, well, maybe, yes.
You will have hope.
You, if you meet with me, I'll tell you if you have hope, or if you meet with Dave or Penny or Lynn or any of us,
I
we
have
will
a
go.
question.
Yes, sir.
Just your own personal schedule is just so impressive. Do you ever, I mean, you're talking, what is that, 12 hours a day plus the weekends? I mean, that's a lot of hours. Although you're on top of everything, you don't seem stressed out or anything. But do you ever schedule like one Friday a month? I'm just going to take off and play golf. Or
So, great
do
question.
you personally do that? Here's my question is, you know, you're kind of the extreme end of the professional real estate guy. And then you know you have these part-timers who like don't really need the money and it's a hobby and they sell one house a year or whatever. Is it possible to not want to have your goal be I want to be the #1 guy in Gateway. I want to sell 100 houses this year.
Right.
You know, is it possible to have reasonable targets that maybe only take instead of 80 hours a week, only take
Yes.
35 hours a week?
Yes. We have agents that work 20, 25 hours a week and make $100,000 a year. Which that's great.
Now, so, but obviously still doing this, but they're only scheduling themselves 3 or 4 days a week instead of 7 days a week.
Right, or it's 7 days a week and they're only working 4 hours a day,
Okay.
right? So they're highly effective and they're highly focused when they do those activities. But absolutely, the thing is, if you're working 20, 25 hours a week and it's focused time, right? You're doing your lead generation. There's absolutely no way in my mind you cannot do one deal a month.
Right.
If you really are doing it versus not having a plan, not having a schedule, just coming into the office and hanging out and saying I was at the office for
Right.
for 2 hours today. Wow, I worked really hard. Well, no, you didn't. You came in the office and you hung out and
Yeah,
So-
no, I definitely can understand there's a lot of this, you're kidding yourself thinking you're working when you're really just punching a clock and not really getting anything done.
Right.
And I get that, and you can be guilty of that even though you understand that phenomenon. But what I'm saying is there a critical mass in real estate? In retail, have a client buy and sell a house, not an investor buying and selling and doing his own thing, but in having clients, is there a critical mass where if you don't put in at least 30 hours a week, you're never going to succeed? Is there anything like that?
again, it depends on how you work, right? If someone's going in and they're doing 2 hours of lead generation a day, making phone calls, doing videos to people, one-to-one, one-to-many kind of things, and then following up with phone calls after that, there's absolutely no way you cannot get enough business to be effective in 20 to 25 hours a week. And we have people that are moms with 3 and 4 kids that are shuffling people back and forth and are making $150,000 a year. And they're going to dances and they're going to gymnastics and they're going to football games. So, but when they work because they know that they have these other tasks to do. Now, for you with your kids being older, yours could be, again, you're going to work these 4 or 5 hours nonstop and then you're going to go golf, right? I mean, it's possible, yes, to do that.
So my question to that, so I would fall into the shuffling kids around stuff,
Right.
wanting to work a condensed amount of time,
Right.
but make a good amount of money, right?
Right.
So how do we backtrack that? Does that make sense? How do we backtrack that to make it
Daily.
small enough to daily so that, okay, this is what I envision, but what is it that I need to be doing? Does that make sense?
Number one
like-
is lead generation.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so,
right.
and at your most effective time of day.
Okay.
So if that most effective time of day for you is between 9 and 10, between 9 and 10, every morning, you are making phone calls.
Right, but then I guess my question is, I guess the question I've been wondering is what is enough? Does that make sense? Because there's a million different avenues that we can take and go on and things that we can do, but like what is what is enough? Does that make sense?
Okay, so we had those lead generation ideas.
So make your 12-week goals, do it for 12 weeks.
Mhm.
If it doesn't,
Then
change it,
swap it.
move on to something
But also,
else and that's-
your lead generation ideas, there's how many working? 3 or 4, right?
Yes.
And you should only do activities that are gonna get you results in those 3 or 4 things. Don't go over to the new shiny penny idea that Chris
Okay.
said that she's doing is getting
Yeah.
great results. Focus.
On
on
staying
your
with what
things.
you've picked. Yeah,
Correct.
okay. Long enough to see if it's
There's
working or
gonna
not.
be results,
Okay.
correct.
Got it.
In my case, I feel like I feel overwhelmed because even when I've been, I sell some houses since I start,
Mm-hmm,
and but I feel like I want to do the materials, the marketing materials. I always wanted to do that, but I find that, well, I need to learn a lot about internet or places. I
Right.
didn't do this kind of job
right, so you
before.
need to meet with Dave and me, and we can get you focused, cause you're overwhelmed,
Mm-hmm.
right? And say, okay, I wanna have my buyer guide done by the end of the week. What do I have to do to get the buyer guide done by the end of the week? So you take a couple of hours, or an hour a day, and get that done. So it's, again, taking on big tasks and making them smaller, accomplishing a little bit every day, so then you have it. Instead of, oh my God, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do that, focus on one thing. Like he said, one thing.
With regard to delegating a result, not a task, how much time is spent initially setting that up, and what are some of the key things that we can look to do to save us time on the other end, like by having the key people?
Okay, so what do you wanna do? It
Um,
depends on the
I'll
task.
identify the items that that I could delegate to someone else that will produce the best result for me.
Okay, so
I guess I have to do
what
that
is-
first.
What is it?
Okay, so I guess helping to find leads.
Helping you find leads?
Yeah.
Okay, so how big's your database? Is your database finished?
For the most part, not
Okay,
entirely.
have you mailed out an announcement,
Not
have you
consent.
mailed out an announcement card and then followed up with phone calls? So the idea would be, you sent, how many people in your database?
I've got to get it down. It was like 3,000.
Oh, 3,000, right.
To 5.
So you wanna get down to, again, people, if you picked up the phone, they would answer because they know it's you,
Okay.
right? So how many people that is, go through that list, you have 50 in that list, right? You have several hundred overall, but 50 in that list. Send out the announcement card, send out 5 a day, and then in 2 days, you make 5 phone calls to the first one, 5 phone calls to the one before, right? So then that's gonna help you generate leads, okay? So, again, you can't really delegate that because you're making the phone calls and you're writing the letters. It would be doing, like Kevin ordered the bags, the postcard, and what else, a pen? Or is
A
that-
magnet for my
a
card.
magnet, right? So he should hire a kid, a high school kid, pay him $10 an hour, and let them stuff the bags for him. And because I,
Well, except I only picked out, I think, 52
right,
properties, and I could probably stuff 52 bags faster than I could hire a kid.
bag kid at the co-op, hey,
It
when
would
you
take
finish,
the
come
stuff-
over here.
How long does it take to stuff 52 bags?
Well, that's what I'm saying, it's gonna
I
take,
bet I
take
could
it
do- I
2
bet I could
hours.
do 8 in a minute, so it's gonna take me 5 minutes.
It'll take a couple
Say 8
hours so you
minutes.
can get 20 bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, then maybe he doesn't delegate that task,
Not that
right? I mean, like with my newsletter that I mail out, it gets, uploads it into Deluxe and Deluxe mails it, right? I mean, I'm not even, I write the blog and everything else gets taken care of, right? So you sending out your newsletter would be something similar. You set up the template with Jennifer and then upload the content every month and it goes out automatically. You should not be coming into the office, copying, folding, labeling, stamping, sticking, and having it take you 6 hours to do your newsletter every month because it's gonna get overwhelming and you're not gonna do it. And then you're not gonna have business because people don't know that you're in business because you're not being consistent in your activities. Okay? So like with Amy and Mandy, their doors open and their blinds are open and people come by and they go in and just start talking to them. And they're like, how do I get more effective? Went over and closed the blind and closed the door and I walked out. Then that way, and I said the next thing you can do is you could put a note, do not disturb on your door.
Oh, there you go.
And that's how you limit the distractions, right? You're in the middle of writing an email and somebody comes in and they talk to you for 10 minutes, and then you have to go back and read your email and think about what you're going to do, and then it wastes your time, right?
But what about when my most productive time is in the morning? So
Mhm.
9 to 10, because a lot of people aren't gonna answer the phone when I get up.
Okay, so that's good. You know it's 9 to 10.
Okay, they don't answer the phone, but they call me back later when I'm doing another.
Okay. When you call someone, are they busy? And they're gonna say, hey Kevin, what's up? How can I help you? Hey, I just wanna say, hey, I wanna check in, make sure everything's okay. If now's not a good time, I can call you back. Is that all right? Oh, I got a couple minutes. Boom. All right, I've got a couple minutes too. You know, let me just take up 5 minutes of your time, right? When I call Kevin, it's a short phone call. When Kevin calls me back, hey Scott, I'm calling you back, dude. What's going on? Blah, blah. It's a 20-minute phone call. Do not answer that phone
Okay.
because you're gonna get caught up in too much time, wasting time, because they call you when they have time.
So,
put them on our.
I don't know if this is, I'm asking if this is relevant. In my background, it was different. It wasn't a personal client relationship. It was, you know, you're selling to a business person. But when we were prospecting, and we were taught, and I found this to be true, you know, most people aren't gonna answer the phone.
Correct.
And your goal, if they do, or even if they don't, your goal is to get an appointment, a phone appointment for 10 minutes or whatever period of time you think is appropriate, where it's scheduled on a calendar so you can have all your research about the last time I talked to this guy and what did he say about, you know, his
Mhm.
goals and his objectives and what, you know, what. You wanna be, maybe you wanna research their company and their, you know,
Right.
news in the Wall Street Journal or whatever. You can't afford to do that planning every time you make a phone call because 99% of them aren't gonna pick up the phone.
Right.
So, but if they do pick up the phone, you can't have that 10-minute call because you're not ready for it. So you gotta say, listen, you know, I don't wanna take your time right now. Here, the point of what I'm saying is, what you just said, nobody's expecting your call unless you have an appointment. So they are not thinking about what you're thinking about. You're thinking about, oh, how can I help this guy with his home needs, buying and selling? He's thinking about something else other than buying and selling his house. When you call him, he's not ready for that call, and you're not really probably ready for it either. So the goal to me, in my past life, was to schedule a phone appointment, or you could be a coffee, whatever. When you're, all right, we're both gonna be focused. You're gonna come ready as my prospective client. You're gonna come ready with how I can help you, and I'm gonna come ready with everything I know about what you might wanna talk about, and then you can have that call. So I mean, I hate to try to get into accomplishing something.
Okay, so
that I'm
we're,
not
we're, we're,
prepared for.
we're talking two different things. What your conversations are when you call people. Hey Chris, did you get my announcement I got into real estate?
Yeah, that's great to hear.
That's cool, I'm glad you like it. So, how's the family? I noticed on Facebook that Johnny hit a home run last night. Then you go into Ford, right? Or you just go into Ford. Hey Chris, how's it going? How are the kids? You know, summertime's gonna be hectic for you, blah, blah, blah. You know, how's that working with the work for you? What camps do you have them in the summer? When are you going on vacation? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, by the way, did you get my announcement that I'm in real estate? Yes. Cool. Hey, I wanna ask you, if you know of anybody looking to buy or sell a house, would you recommend me? Of course. Okay, great. I'm gonna send out a monthly newsletter. So your initial phone call to these people is, it's always about them. How's your family? How's work? You know, what are you doing for vacation? You know, dreams, if they have any. Hey, remember you told me you were gonna do this? Are you still gonna do that kind of thing? And then, oh, by the way, did you get my announcement? Or, hey, do you know of anybody looking to buy or sell a house? I'm in the real estate business. Don't forget about me when people talk about that. So it's not, let's set up a time and let's see if we can handle each other's objectives. It's not, it's, you're establishing relationships and you're building value, and I'll be sending you a newsletter every month. And then, again, your research is gonna be 5 minutes or less.
If they ever do, if any of that activity ever gets you to where, you know what, I do need to buy a house.
Okay, cool. Then you set up the appointment.
meeting, right?
Yes.
You can't try to get into
Right.
that right there.
Right, and it's like, Kevin, I haven't seen you since college, dude. What have you been doing? How you kids? Let's get together for a cup of coffee. Some people you want to meet with, right? And there are some people that you know that you don't want to meet with, too, right? That, hey, sorry, I don't have time for that. That's a non-essential, but you know, some people want to get together, and you know that there's, you know, Tanya Talker, who just is going to get together with you, and she's going to talk for 2 hours, and you're not going to get a word in edgewise, right? And it's like, you don't have time for that right now, right? Hey, why don't you come to my son's soccer game and we can talk? And so you can watch your kid play soccer, and she can talk to you at that same time, right? But you don't wanna, you wanna make sure that you're using your time wisely. And if somebody says they have somebody, then you set up that secondary appointment.
So if they call you back,
You let it go to
don't
voicemail.
answer the phone.
You let it go to voicemail.
Okay.
You know, again, if you know it's a D, then you answer the phone, right? If it's an I, you don't answer the phone, because they're gonna take 20 minutes with you, right? So know your personality type of the person who's calling you, so that you know whether to answer. If it's a D, boom, you take that call, because they want an answer right then. They're calling you back for a reason, right? They're not gonna call you back to chit chat. So that's how you use that disc profile when you find out more about it. All right, any other questions? All right, go sell something. You got,
We're saying though,
huh?
we're saying.
Saying,
Quick break.
Right, but you have some time right now, right? Thank you.